Guys? Anthony here with Empire Music and empiremusic.com, and sort of showing you we're sort of doing a revisit here. So what I'm kind of showing off today, things I've shown off before, we've done demo videos on this. This isn't really that. This is a little something different, just to sort of say, what do we think now, 2.5, I don't even know how long it's been, X amount of years later in a particular line. And in this case, one that's definitely worth sort of looking back at. It's still here, so it's not really looking back. This is like a retrospective of the instrument. But the American Professional 2 Series basses. Got it in the tried and true precision bass here. This one's in the dark night finish with a rosewood board. Also in a jazz bass, you know, that configuration. This one has a maple board on it. It's not really about that though. And I'll go over a little bit of the specs, but it's sort of like, you know, when Fender introduces a new, let's say, easy way to say it, like a middle ground, the workhorse instrument, Strat, Tele, whatever, like in their American lineup. So it was like the American Standard forever, then it was the American Professional, then we moved to the American Professional 2, and there'll be more coming out. I don't know when. This isn't really a conversation about that. This is, what do we think of these instruments now that we've had a lot of time to kind of digest them, to sell them, to play them, to really get a feel for it. So just briefly spec-wise, I'll probably miss some stuff here. Maybe I won't, we'll see. Alder body on these guys. V-Mod pickups in there. So V-Mod 2 pickups in there, in the P and in the J. Obviously, rosewood board here, maple board here. On the P bass, it is, if I remember this correctly, a 63C neck on there. Satin urethane finish, rolled fretboard edges, 9.5 radius, narrow tall frets, if I'm not mistaken, on there. If I missed something there, forgive me. And then on the jazz bass, it's a slim C neck, so profile wise, a little bit slimmer back to front on the J, a little thicker, a little bit more vintage styled on the P. Now, when these first came out, my initial impression on them were, you know, it was kind of listening to what people didn't like about the American Professional 1 series, which was a little bit bright, a little bit brash, but I mean, it kind of fit the bill for what they wanted to do then. They wanted to separate it from the American Standard series, which was pretty traditional. Here, it's kind of like in the American Pro 2s, they sort of mashed up everything there, where you still have that modern playability, although they added a little bit of vintage profile on the P bass, which makes sense for a P bass, and like the contoured neck heel on them. But pickup voicing wise, I certainly noticed them to sort of warm up a little bit from the American Professional 1. So we'll kind of jump through sonically of it. We can, you know, love to know what you think of them down in the comments. Have you bought one of these? Do you still play it? Do you like it? I think they're great instruments. You know, it's hard for them to get, like, again, the flagship American line wrong. They do a lot of research and development on that. I've always loved the weight on these things. So just outside of spec, these have always been weighted very well. This P bass in particular is pretty light. I don't know the exact weight on it, so I know that's the next question out there on the interwebs. But if you want to know, give me a call, 412-343-5299. Catch us on the chat feature on the website in the upper right-hand corner. And you can email me directly, anthony@empiremusic.com, if you want to get your hands on this one. This one's super light. J, a little heavier because you got the 2 pickups in there, so that adds a little bit of weight to it. But I've always found these to be weighted very, very well balanced playing instrument. And kind of everything that I want to get out of a P bass, as more of a vintage kind of sounding guy, at least that's the tone I generally jump for. This does that and some modern stuff. So we'll jump through a couple P bass sounds here. Wide open, full bore volume, full bore tone. Just kind of get an idea of that guy. And like I always try to say in the video, you want dynamic range out of it. So, I mean, sonically, again, it kind of sits right in between modern and vintage. Fender, too, it's nice because if you want modern, go with the Ultra. If you want super vintage, you go with the American Original. And then the American Professional 2 kind of sits right in the middle and gives everyone a little bit of something. So, revisiting the P-Bass, I still love them. I still think they're fantastic values. If you're looking just for a workhorse of an instrument, this is certainly one. We're gonna just hit pause real quick and switch over to the J bass. No one needs to see that process, so I'll be right back with you. We'll show you some of these tones. We're back with a new bass. This is the jazz bass. Again, we're talking about the American Professional 2 series, what we think of it 2 or 3 years later, however long it's been. Went over the specs already. Sonically, what we get out of this, let's see. So full bore, both pickups, volume, or full tone, full volume on both pickups there. We'll kind of pay attention to that dynamic range the same way we did with the P-Bass. Definitely a brighter instrument. We have 2 pickups going here, and that's what you expect out of a J. It's why you have a J in the arsenal. It's why you should have a P in the arsenal. They are different instruments for sure. But check out the dynamic range. Not a lot of top end on that at all. Haven't moved anything down here. A lot more top end, just as we dig. So a good responsive instrument. Again, I said it in the last video I did, I'm a broken record. That's what I want out of a bass. I don't care if it's a Rickenbacker, an Ibanez, a Fender, a Federa. I want responsiveness. I want the bass to respond to my touch and what I'm giving it. I want to get that back, warts and all. So if you got some inconsistencies, I want to hear those inconsistencies. So again, both pickups wide open. Front pickup, we're gonna kind of fake our way into P-Bass territory. We'll go back to the jazz bass, or I always say that, back to the jazz bass because I'm so used to like having a PJ configuration for all those years that I had it. Back to the bridge pickup. Honestly, probably my least used tone out of a J bass. Not that it's wrong, it's just for me, I just generally don't gravitate towards that unless I need it. Like I'm playing with effects pedals and I need that kind of to hit that sonic landscape out of the tone. Generally for me, it's gonna be both pickups with a J. Or just that front pickup. So, still great instruments. 3 years later, revisiting, kind of a reminder how awesome these instruments are. It's the American Professional 2 series from Fender, obviously. Still love them. They're lightweight, which is what everyone kind of wants these days, and they kind of play themselves always, and they give you exactly what you'd expect out of a P or a J. I know I sound like I'm selling it hard, but I mean, these are still great instruments that everyone should be thinking about if you're looking to add the typical Fender visual aesthetic and the sonic aesthetic into your arsenal. Give me a ring at the shop, 412-343-5299. You can email me directly. It's anthony@empiremusic.com. If you're on our website, you can hit us with the chat feature in the upper right-hand corner. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Do all the fun things that the kids do on the internet nowadays. Except bully each other. Don't do that. That's not cool to do on the internet. Don't do that. See you next time.